Which of the leading characters in The Fast and the Furious can't drive? Why did Corona not pay Universal a cent despite the characters constantly advertising the brand? And why is Han even more mysterious than you originally thought? Hi, my name's Dylan, and today I'll be revealing details behind the Fast saga that even the most devoted fans don't know. Paul Walker's cars. The sudden loss of this wonderful actor was a tragedy, not only for his loved ones, but also for his loyal fans around the world. The Fast and the Furious star, who was a huge car lover on the screen as well as behind it, died in a car crash 6 years ago. Paul Walker spent a lot of on-screen time under the hoods of different cars, and he did the same in real life. Did you know that many of the cars we saw in the Fast saga belonged to Paul? For instance, the cult Nissan Skyline he drove in the second Fast and Furious was his own car. Everything started with Walker buying all the cars his character drove in the movie. So during his time in the franchise, he accumulated a unique collection that is just incomparable. Paul Walker's collection of vehicles ranged from the ordinary cars that he was in love with, such as the Crown Victoria, to rare vehicles like his famous R34 Skyline. It was announced a few months ago that Paul's car collection will soon be sold at an auction. Vin Diesel and Tokyo Drift. Dominic wasn't even supposed to make an appearance in Part 3 of the franchise, and in fact, Vin Diesel refused to take part in it after the very first movie. However, when Universal Studios did screen tests for Tokyo Drift, it became clear that there were big problems with the movie. Their solution was to get Vin Diesel to make a cameo in the movie, and for the studio to change their advertising campaign a little. Universal came to the actor and asked him to take part in the movie as a personal favor, and Diesel agreed, although rather reluctantly and on his own conditions. The studio was to give up the rights of the Chronicles of Riddick to the actor, so that he could film the third movie of the franchise on his own. By the way, the movie didn't quite work out, but that's another story. Diesel's second condition was that he would get a sweet ride, and the studio stuck to this, as he was driving Hammer, a 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner, the construction of which was followed on the TLC series rides and featured in Hot Rod magazine. Yep, Dom rode a car from the TV show. It was quite a cool moment, and moreover, it joined the Tokyo Drift movie and the sequels. Han's fake name. At this point, Han has been in 4 out of 8 movies, and he is the central character of Tokyo Drift. Despite the importance of the character for the franchise and his possible appearance in Part 9, by the way, how is that possible? Han's last names, both fake and real, weren't mentioned that often, although they should have been, as one of them is a direct reference to another cult franchise, Star Wars. Our favorite character's full name is Han Solo, and it's a reference to Harrison Ford's character Han Solo. They even sound the same. It is a coincidence that the name Deckard Shaw, the name of the person who killed Han, is the same as Harrison Ford's name in another movie, Blade Runner, Rick Deckard. While many would rightfully think that this is Han's full name, it's not really the case according to Justin Lin, who made it clear on social media that Han Solo is a fake ID used by Han. The answer to Han's last name might not be that obvious, as Justin Lin featured Sung Kang not only in Fast and Furious, but also in his other movie, Better Luck Tomorrow. Kang stars as a character whose name is Han Lu, and it is believed that this version of Han is the same one in The Fast and the Furious. Han is surrounded by too many mysteries, and seeing him in the trailer of the new Fast and Furious only adds to the mystery. What does Hitman have to do with it? One of the main reasons why we love the Fast saga so much is its fantastic races. Really, who else could possibly think of jumping over skyscrapers in a car? The Fate of the Furious had a race that deserves special attention. Of course, I'm referring to the scene where the gang shoots harpoons into Dom's car in order to stop him. The screen looks remarkably bright from above, but few people realize that it's very similar to a scene from Hitman, Agent 47. Hitman aired 2 years prior to The Fast and Furious Part 8. However, it failed to make an impression and made a mere $82 million. Paul Walker was supposed to play the leading role. After his sudden death, the role went to Rupert Friend. Perhaps if Paul Walker's name had been on the posters, the movie might have gotten more attention, but we will never know. In turn, The Fate of the Furious became the first movie of the franchise, except for Tokyo Drift, that didn't have Paul in it. Hobbs' dance. The Rock always seems very serious and unsmiling, except when he is with his beloved daughter. One of the most amusing and one of our favorite scenes with Hobbs is when he coaches his daughter's soccer team. It seems like the ex-cop has finally found his calling, and the final dance during the last few minutes of the game would touch even The Rock himself. If you, just like us, are crazy not only about the Fast and the Furious, but also about Disney cartoons, you might have noticed something interesting. The dance that the younger soccer players do is very similar to a dance from the Disney movie Moana, in which Dwayne Johnson did the voice of a character very similar to himself. The Rock revealed that dances are very important in his culture, and this just confirms it. Product placements. It's not just Vin Diesel, fast cars, and unrealistic fights that the Fast and the Furious is famous for. Besides fantastic box office figures, the franchise makes a lot of money from our favorite product placement. Besides the obvious advertisement of the car brands, there's another advert that immediately comes to mind. You could have already guessed that I'm speaking of the Corona beer, which became Dominic's favorite drink. The really weird thing? Corona did not pay for any of this free advertising. Gary Scott Thompson, the writer of the first film, included it because some motorheads in his neighborhood in LA preferred Corona. For years, Dom would drink Corona, and the studio didn't make a single penny out of it. It's no surprise then that in Part 8, Corona was replaced by other brands. Another example of someone who didn't have to pay is Ludacris, who has his own drink brand, Conjure. Towards the end of the Fast and the Furious 6, when the gang is having their BBQ, a bottle of Conjure can be spotted on a table. Although, you probably wouldn't have noticed that bottle if we hadn't just told you. The scriptwriter's amnesia. Let's add some romance to this list. The love story of Dominic and Letty is one of the most beautiful plot lines in the franchise. Their love life survived Letty almost dying, her amnesia, and Dom's kid from another woman. And yes, we still think Elena deserves much better. Despite the circumstances, these two have always found a way to each other. It seems like the scriptwriters, just like Letty, got a case of amnesia, as they seem to have forgotten when our loving couple met. In the very first movie, we find out that Dom and Letty have known each other since childhood, and they grew up on the same street. In the sixth movie, the scriptwriters change this and say the two met when Letty was 15. Some actors from the cast can't drive. Can you believe that the franchise is going to be 20 next year? You would think that after all those years, the actors would be professional racers. And while some actors who we have already mentioned, like Paul Walker, are amazing drivers, many others didn't even have a driver's license at the beginning of the saga, like Michelle Rodriguez and Jordana Brewster. Michelle later got her driver's license, but it was suspended in 2005 for 90 days after she pled guilty to drunk driving in Hawaii. Tom wouldn't approve Michelle. Brewster had to start learning how to drive in New York City and had to pass her test. Otherwise, she would have been dropped from the film due to the insurance requirements. They were not the only ones, though. Nathalie Emmanuel, who first starred in The Fast and the Furious 7, still does not have her license, although she did not drive in that film or in The Fate of the Furious. Rita Ora was fake. Unlike Iggy Azalea, who not only appeared in a cameo, but also said a line, Rita Ora was fake. When fans spotted the popular singer in The Fast and the Furious 6, they were outraged by the fact that she did not say a word. As it turned out later, there was quite a big reason for that. It wasn't Rita. Rita Ora's cameo was digitally inserted after the scene was filmed. Vin Diesel himself suggested Ora for the role of the head girl of a street race between Diesel's Dom and Rodriguez's Letty. Vin Diesel's daughter. Everybody knows that the Fast and the Furious actors are not just co-workers, but also friends. Vin Diesel even calls the cast his family. The loss of Walker was a real tragedy for Diesel. For the past few years, he's repeatedly said that the two of them were like brothers, both on screen and in real life. And Walker's presence continued to hang over Diesel even in the delivery room of his daughter. Art imitated life in the 8th part of the franchise, when Vin Diesel gave his real-life daughter the name Pauline, while in the movie, Dominic named his newborn child Brian. Diesel's unexpected talent. The actor has the image of a tough guy both on and off screen. It's hard to imagine him complaining about his problems or singing karaoke, right? It's especially weird to see how the actor sings a Rihanna song in his low voice. Yet, on YouTube, you can find a video of Diesel proudly singing the song Stay. And on his Facebook page, the actor even posted a video of himself singing Sam Smith's song Stay With Me. And we must admit, there is something magical in his performance. Unique franchise. Can you name at least one franchise besides the Fast saga that only became popular after the 5th movie? Vin Diesel's project is unique for many reasons, and mainly for the fact that the box office figures are only increasing with every movie. Even the 8th film, which lost one of the main characters, made more money than all the previous ones. The amount of fans increases every year, along with more interest in the saga. Such figures can only be compared to the incredibly popular The Avengers movie, which made more than $2 billion last year. The Fast and the Furious saga will be over with the 10th part, which might consist of 2 movies, but even then, it might not really be goodbye. In the near future, we can expect at least a female spin-off and a possible sequel to Hobbs and Shaw. Are you gonna watch the new movie? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to our channel.